A very good evening and a warm welcome to our first edition of UBC News Tonight on this 24th day of March 2022. Now, before we get into tonight's bulletin, let's first take a look at tonight's headlines.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
You've given me like 3.
MTN.
In our headlines tonight, NRM Parliamentary Caucus endorses Among for speakership race. The opposition front Bujiri Municipality MP Osman Basalira for speakership. ICT Minister Dr. Chris Baryomunsi clarifies on Speaker Jacob Oulanyah's cause of death. And opposition leaders and former presidential candidates sign condolence book at Parliament.
Was brought to you by Everywhere You Go, MTN.
Good evening once again and welcome to our first edition of UBC News Tonight. I'm Loreen Masika Kazimoto and Elizabeth Nakakwani on sign language interpretation. Now we start off with our first headlining story this evening. The 11 NRM MPs that were competing with the Deputy Speaker Anita Among on position of Speaker to replace the deceased Jacob Oulanyah have accepted defeat after SEC successfully endorsed Among as NRM flag bearer ahead of the election slated for tomorrow, Friday at Kololo. These include Sarah Opendi, Theodore Sechikubo, Florence Akiki and others, and they say they won't be running as independents but support their party candidate. Take a look.
During a meeting of the 4th Central Executive Committee of the National Resistance Movement Party sitting in an emergency session at Entebbe last evening, the committee successfully endorsed Deputy Speaker Anita Among as party candidate for speakership race. Others who were in the race include Jacobo Bothoboth, Sarah Pendi, Theodore Sechikubo, Dens Hamson Oboa, Jackson Kafuzi, Felix Okotogong, Florence Akiki, Pius Wakabi, among others, and they clarified to us that they accepted SEC's decision.
We all cannot be speakers. There is only one position and yet we are many. So I do congratulate her and I look forward to working closer even with her.
The only issue, however, was for SEC and the NRM Electoral Commission to invite expression of interest.
So as NRM, we have structures. The topmost structure is SEC that sat yesterday about who should be the speaker for the next parliament. And the decision was based on other factors, but the main ones, one, that she contested as a deputy speaker and she was overwhelmingly voted as a deputy speaker. According to Remiaga County MP Theodore Sechikubo, he will not be running as independent during the election.
There are those areas where you agree and those you disagree. I respectfully take the position of SEC for their reasons, and I don't see myself standing as an independent candidate.
The little time she has performed her role as a speaker, while the speaker is away, she has done a lot.
Shamim Naiga, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anita Annette Among, has been endorsed by the NRM Central Executive Committee flag bearer of the ruling NRM in the speakership race. Today, she was presented to the political organ of the party, the NRM caucus, before Parliament could decide her fate with her main political rival from the opposition in the race for the speakership position of the 11th Parliament. The position of the Speaker fell vacant on the 20th of March 2022 when the incumbent Speaker, Jacob Oulanyah, was announced dead in Seattle, United States of America. But who is Anita Annette Among? Let's have a look at her contour.
Miss Anita Among Annette is a Ugandan accountant, lawyer and politician who serves as the woman member of parliament representing Bukedea district. Among was born in Bukedea in 1973 and attended local schools for elementary and secondary education. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in business administration from Makerere University in 2005 and immediately enrolled for a master's degree in business administration, which she completed in 2008, also from Makerere University. In 2018, Among graduated from Kampala International University with a Bachelor of Law degree. From 1998 until 2006, Miss Among worked at Centenary Bank, and by the time she left in 2006, she had risen to the rank of branch manager. For the 10 years prior to her election to Parliament, she served as a lecturer in accounting at Kampala International University. For 2 parliamentary election cycles in 2007, when Bukedia district was created, and 2011, Among lost the district woman representative seat to Rose Akol by then of the National Resistance Movement political party. Anita Among, a long-time member of the Forum for Democratic Change FDC by then, contested as an independent in 2016 and won the seat. In the 10th Parliament, Ms. Among served as the Vice Chairperson of the Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises COSASE, which was led by Bugweri County MP Abdu Katuntu. In 2020, she joined the National Resistance Movement political party after falling out with her party FDC and won the party primaries. In the 2021 general elections, Among was one of the few legislators who was elected unopposed to join the 11th Parliament.
My name is Anita Among Annette, a member of Parliament of Bukedia District. I do consent to my nomination.
Thank you very much.
Anita Among would later declare her bid for the Deputy Speakership of the 11th Parliament of Uganda, which she won.
I therefore declare the Honorable Among Annette Anita duly elected Deputy Speaker of Parliament.
Among Annette Anita, swear in the name of the Almighty God that I will at all times well and truly serve the Republic of Uganda in the office of Deputy Speaker, and that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda as by the law established. So help me God.
After serving for 9 months as Deputy Speaker, Anita Among has been endorsed by her party NRM to succeed Jacob Oulanyah, who passed away a few days ago.
Hereby recommend to the NRM Parliamentary Caucus the Right Honorable Among Anita Annette for endorsement as NRM candidate for the position of Speaker of the 11th Parliament of Uganda.
She will become the first woman to have served for less than a year as Deputy Speaker before elevation to the top slot. Bernard Higa, UBC News.
Thomas Tayebwa is to represent the NRM party for the position of Deputy Speaker of the 11th Parliament. The decision was endorsed by the NRM Central Executive Committee through the Parliamentary Caucus. We have the details in this report.
The NRM Parliamentary Caucus, backed by the NRM Central Executive Committee, has endorsed Thomas Bangirana Tayebwa to stand as the party flag bearer for the position of Deputy Speaker. The decision came through after the position went vacant, with Honorable Anita Among being endorsed by the NRM Central Executive Committee to stand as Speaker of Parliament.
So in order not to call SEC and the caucus again, we met at the Central Executive Committee and we took a decision that we open up the position of Deputy Speaker in the caucus, and indeed members expressed their interest and they appeared before the Central Executive Committee, and in the end they stood down in favor of Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, who has been serving as the government chief whip, and he went through unopposed as the official flag bearer for the position of Deputy Speaker. NRM as a party, we shall work extremely very hard to make sure that the flag bearer of NRM wins. That's what I'm saying. What you're asking is just hypothetical. But the reality is we shall make sure that NRM wins very smoothly, and we hope to maintain this kind of unity and consensus within the NRM family in Parliament.
Among the 11 candidates who had shown interest for the deputy speakership position, they all came to a consensus to endorse Tayebwa.
Of the 11 candidates who had offered themselves, when the Central Executive Committee meeting sat, all the others withdrew out of concurrency with the current government chief whip, Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, and they all decided to back him.
Honorable Thomas Tayebwa and the Right Honorable Anita Mongi were the people that were at the front. And now bringing them together, even when Honorable Tayebwa was a government chief on the floor of Parliament, they were working together. We are seeing cohesion. So the two, Anita Mong and Tayebwa, I believe, are going to work better in terms of moving Parliament together, but also for harmony of the people of Uganda and also for Parliament. Because I believe that this team, the two of them, are going to steer Parliament very well.
The NRM party spokesperson Emmanuel Dombo highlighted how the party is ready to compete favorably and win both slots of Speaker and Deputy Speaker come Friday.
We'll wait for the names to be nominated on the floor, and people will compete by offering themselves. They will do the elections, they will count the votes, and whoever wins will take the day. But given the unanimity that is within the NRM, and that has been demonstrated today, there is nothing that will stop the candidates of the National Resistance Movement from taking the positions of Speaker and Deputy Speaker of Parliament.
Tayebwa has been the government chief whip for 11 months. The Ruhinda North legislator will compete to Court Moses of FDC, who is to represent the opposition side. Parliament is expected to convene early Friday for the polls.
The government chief whip, Thomas Tayebwa, has been nominated by the NRM Parliamentary Caucus to serve as Deputy Speaker of the 11th Parliament once he defeats opposition figures like Chira Municipality MP Ibrahim Semonju Nganda in a hotly competitive race for the docket. But little is known about Thomas Tayebwa. Our reporter Mark Wadulo attempts to explore who Tayebwa is, the man who is likely to be the next Deputy Speaker of the 11th Parliament, using the NRM numerical strength.
Thomas Banjirana Tayebwa is a 42-year-old lawyer and politician. He was appointed as the government chief whip by Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Since 2016, he serves as the Member of Parliament for Ruhinda North County in Mitoma District and a member of the NRM, the ruling national political party in Uganda. Tayebwa was born to Banjirana Daudi and Betty Komohanji of Bitereko village in Mitoma District. He attended Chigarama Primary School, Chigarama Senior Secondary School, and Ruyonza School for USCE in the year 2000. In 2005, he received a Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences at Makerere University, and in 2012, he received a Bachelor of Law degree from Makerere as well. He served as a member of the National Economy Committee and Natural Resources Committee. In October 2015, Tayebwa joined elective politics on the NRM ticket, winning both the party's primaries with 15,092 votes and the 2016 Ugandan general election, thereby becoming a member of the 10th Parliament for the Pearl of Africa, representing Ruhinda North County in Mitoma District. On 14th February 2009, Tayebwa married Anita Rukundo at St. Augustine Chapel in Makerere, Kampala. They have one child.
A profile there of Thomas Tayebwa. Now moving on, the former Prime Minister of Uganda, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, has clarified on mixed media reports on how the supreme organ of the ruling NRM, the Central Executive Committee, arrived at a decision to endorse the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, as the flag bearer for the party in the speakership race. Dr. Rugunda, speaking in an exclusive interview, revealed that the party put into consideration the much cherished succession culture that was adopted from the times of James Wapakabulo, where often a deputy speaker is in waiting speaker.
First of all, the media has not properly portrayed what actually happened at State House SEC meeting yesterday.
Following last evening announcement of the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among as the NRM sole candidate for the speakership race by the NRM Supreme Organ, the Central Executive Committee of the party, the announcement fell short of explaining, especially how SEC arrived at the decision in question, leaving room for media speculation.
This was a long, rigorous meeting where SEC members thoroughly discussed this subject matter. And after a long debate, SEC invited the candidates. There were 12 of them. And the candidates were given an opportunity to state why they would like to be the Speaker of Parliament. And after they had given their views, they went away.
This has called for an engagement with the former Prime Minister and a historic member of the NRM political party, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, aka Ndugu, who was part of the meeting to clarify on, among other issues, that transpired in the SEC meeting.
Again, SEC weighed in the matter, and then SEC took a decision. So the decision mainly rotated really, or was focused on, let's elect this person. First of all, I better say there was no decision before. The decision was taken by SEC after SEC had listened to everybody.
This, according to Rugunda, warranted the Central Executive Committee members, led by the party national chairman, also President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, to reconvene a meeting backdoors.
So SEC took a decision that we should give support to the Deputy Speaker of Parliament because he had done her work well in absence of Ndugu Jacob Oulanyah. Secondly, the tradition in the movement has been that when the speaker goes, the deputy takes over. And as you very well know, this is what happened when Second took over from Wapakabulo. This is what happened when Kadaga took over from Second, and only recently Jacob had taken over from Kadaga.
Anita's endorsement, according to Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, didn't come from blue, as it was premised on the party culture of succession that dates way back from the times of the late James Wapakabulo, where deputy speakers were often speakers in waiting.
Therefore, that also played a role. Why shouldn't we follow what we have been doing? After all, the whole idea is cadre identification and cadre development. You make somebody a deputy with a view to giving skills, experience, so that when there is an opportunity, the deputy can move up. And we think this is what was done, and it was, to me, overwhelmingly supported. There was no coercion or intimidation or all sorts of negative things.
Following the backdoors agreements of SEC members, all the contestants who had expressed interest for the position of the Speaker were invited for a brief on the outcomes, which many in the end never contested.
After we had taken a decision, we invited all the candidates and told them the results of the decision, and which was really good in my view. And so they all left State House Entebbe full aware that SEC had resolved on Anita as the candidate.
The acceptance to all reflects internal party principles that have kept the NRM party house intact, according to Dr. Rugunda and others. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
So much.
National Unity Platform President Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, Auditor General John Mwanga, former presidential candidates John Katumba and Nancy Kalembe, and more legislators have signed the condolence book at Parliament in honor of the late Speaker Jacob Lokori Oulanyah. They had this to say immediately after they paid their respects to the deceased.
Remembrance in terms of what we do as leaders of this house and members of this house, we do our best.
I found him to be an astute leader, a fine legislator, a person who was amiable, approachable, very social, and candid in whatever he would do, despite the political differences we would have, the volatile political environment. But he's one person you would talk to and he would listen. And at times he would, in most cases, by the way, he would give you the opportunity to speak out whatever you wanted. He is not a person who was vindictive in nature, that would have that vengeance against you, even if you made a ferocious attack or criticism against him.
We send our condolences to the people of Uganda, to the people of Acholi and Parliament for the loss of yet another son. We also want to take this opportunity to remind all concerned not to ignore the voices that are coming from Acholi, from the Acholi traditional leadership, from the family of Jacob Oulanyah, particularly his father, asking questions, wondering why this constant unexplained death on the sons of Acholi. I will also reassert that what's more important here is to ask for the cause of death of Jacob Oulanyah.
Now, in our extensive broadcast about the man, we extract a moving, inspirational speech of the late Speaker Jacob Lokori Oulanyah on the fight against corruption and the leadership he desired for Uganda. In his speech, he cautions people aspiring for leadership to be mindful of every step they take along the path to the helm of leadership, to be mindful of the people watching them, because it will be the same path they will use when they're out of leadership to communities where they came from. Let's watch the moving and inspirational speech of the man whose trademarks will remain on Uganda's political wall of fame.
Yesterday, for example, I was leaving Parliament, and apparently the way I moved, some notifications had not reached certain categories of people. So I arrived at my departure place and there was no car. And so I met the clerk to Parliament. So we decided to engage in a conversation that said to Parliament, buying time and giving the young people time to run around and arrange what they normally arrange for me to move, which is a bit clumsy and sometimes actually tedious. So I stood there, Deputy Speaker, and of course I'm sure the boys were sweating in their shoes, but I was not bothered. Late in the evening, I received a message on my phone that when you stood there and your car was not there, and you walked and started talking to the clerk, people appreciated. It showed that you're a very humble person, because other people would have shouted at other people or called them names, but you didn't. And then he concluded his message by saying, society watches. Society watches. Everything you do, wherever you do them, everything you say, wherever you say them, remember, society watches. You may even think you are alone. Remember, society watches. And especially those of you who have today been elevated. Elevation means they take you up. That means when you are going up, remember, society watches. And when you are up, that means people are down and have a better view of you who is up. That means even the dress code should change, because there are people watching, this time from down. Society watches. Remember that. And in our lives, we have two things we cannot avoid. One is called a journey, and the other one is called a race. Our entire life is a journey. But in between this journey, there are lots and lots of races. Running, competing, and doing all kinds of things. Even when you want to live normally, you find yourself in a competition that you were not actually prepared for. You are there, enjoying your life, all of a sudden, you have been appointed a judge. And now you have to face a panel, even of members of parliament who you are not even prepared to go and meet. Now you have to meet them. You also be careful of which step we take, because people are watching. Society is watching. If you also talk about journeys, today there were speeches about Israel and the Israelites. But we all know now that when Moses was given a mission to take the Israelites out of Egypt, out of bondage, and to cross the sea, to go to the promised land of milk and honey, which turns out to be a desert. Now the scientists have actually confirmed that journey is actually only 625 kilometers. That means it's a journey from here to Gulu. I know Gulu better than any other place. And back. You would have gone from Egypt to Israel. If you went from Kampala to Gulu and came back, you have gone past Israel. But it took the Israelites 40 years to cover a journey of 626 kilometers, 625 kilometers. What that means is, every year, they were walking 15 kilometers on average. 15 kilometers. Every month, they are walking about 1.3 kilometers. Every day, they were walking about 43 meters. So for the Israelites to move to the promised land promised to them by God. Patrick Seman was talking about the Holy Land. In a day, they will start from this wall, and by the time they are going to rest, even manna coming from heaven, because they never stopped. By sunset, they are at the door. Why? Why? Because of the diversions. They started worshiping things they should not have worshipped. They started fighting leaders they shouldn't have fought. They started bickering over things they should not have fought over. They started wasting time and fighting among themselves, things they shouldn't have done. They chose to do things they should not have done instead of doing the things they should have done. And they fell short of God's glory. And they spent 40 years covering a distance of 625 kilometers. Where are we as a country? Where are we as a people? If our leaders who were here when they took over from the colonial government woke up today and found us the way we are, they would send all of us to prison because they would be totally disappointed. When you're on the wrong course, nobody should encourage you. This country has been on so many wrong courses and so many people encouraging them to run those wrong courses. That's wrong. Knee up, knee up. Say knee up to the person running the race along the good road, along the good path. Not to the person cheating people, practicing corruption, and all kinds of other evils that have bedeviled our country. And here we are talking as if we are talking from a distance. There is corruption in this country. There is corruption in this country. Who are the corrupt? Our own people. We eat with them every day. We drink with them every day. They are the corrupt people we are talking about. Shame! The battle to fight corruption begins with you. These days we glorify the corrupt. These priests who are here, when the corrupt come because they give them much money, they occupy the front benches in the church. Yes, I've said it. And they are there, oh sir, oh hey madam, here, here. Why? Because the offertory is going to be gigantic. Yes, and you know where it has come from. And then you say, bless you, may where it has come from, may you be rewarded. Now it's Dr. Oulanyah speaking. Such people who practice corruption, don't say knee up to them. Don't encourage them. Please don't. Don't make them feel good. Instead, make them feel terrible. Make them feel uncomfortable. Resent them. When they occupy a table, leave that table. When they come to order food in a restaurant, the rest of you should go to the other corner. Let them enjoy their wealth in shame and loneliness. Yeah, I'm saying it. Yes. But here, our society is corrupt. You find a mother, 2 children have graduated at the same time. One child has built a house. Her child has not built a house. Say, for you, what did you study? You are well, so-and-so's daughter, so-and-so's son has already built a house. You went to the same school. For you, what did you study? Yes. In other words, do something, build a house. Build a house immediately. Because I want to be like the others whose children have built houses. We push people and we push them hard to get shortcuts into getting wealth they don't deserve, they have never worked for. Yes, let's do something about it, and that battle begins with you.
Jacob Lokori Oulanyah, the man giving a very inspirational speech on the fight against corruption and the leadership that he desired for Uganda. Now moving on, the opposition wing in Parliament have anonymously fronted Bujiri Municipality Member of Parliament Osman Basalirwa for the position of the speakership. The Jema party leader will be facing off with Anita Among, who was endorsed by the NRM Party Central Executive Committee to vie for the same position. The elections of the speakership position to replace the late Jacob Oulanyah will be held tomorrow, Friday, the 25th of March 2022.
The opposition is not ready to give up in the race to have a historical position of chairing the August House. The Bujiri Municipality Member of Parliament, also leader of the JM party, has secured the backup of the opposition in Parliament.
The first time I stood for Parliament was in 2001. I attempted to become youth MP. I got only one vote. Because it was electoral college, I got only one vote. And I don't know who voted for me because I was not even a voter. I stood again in 2006, I failed. I stood in 2008, there was a by-election in Bukodi North, I failed. I stood in 2011, I failed. I stood in 2016, I failed. A municipality was created in 2018, I went through. So I came to Parliament at my 5th attempt. That is the determination. That is the courage. That is the assurance, that's the commitment I want to give to you.
The members of the opposition first engaged in a closed-door meeting, and later 49 members agreed to front Basalirwa against 29 who had opted for the UPC favourite Jonathan Odu.
We must retain the integrity of this House. Professor Evi Daise, a renowned constitutional lawyer, did say, Parliament can make and unmake anything. That should be our position. We must not be considered to be second citizens. Neither should we be a second arm of government. We must always remain the top arm of government. That is the commitment, that is the struggle, that is the aspiration I bring.
Meanwhile, the opposition has also endorsed Moses Biteka Okot for the position of Deputy Speakership to run with NRM's Thomas Tayebwa.
National Inter-Platform Party had endorsed me as their candidate for the position of Deputy Speakership. However, it was subject to the opposition caucus resolution, which we have just held now. And in the opposition caucus, we have all agreed as the opposition that we should front a candidate from the northern region as a befitting send-off to the Right Honourable Jacob Oulanyah.
Our main emphasis was, first of all, regional balance and competence. For us, I don't think it should be about numbers, it should be about democracy. Who has to take what, or who should take what?
Coming from the Greater North, Acholi, Lango, West Nile, he's one to consolidate opposition spirit in the North, including an open invitation to non-opposition from the North, who believe that the North, in losing the Honourable Jacob Oulanyah, lost one of their own, and therefore replacing him with the Honourable Court would be really a befitting send-off for Jacob.
Daniel Mogoya and Gloria Gutabenji, UBC News.
Brought to you by.
We're here to build because at the end of the day, we're truly Ugandan.
Today in history.
On 24th March 1961, during the general elections, Democratic Party DP, led by Benedict Chiwanuka, defeated the Uganda People's Congress UPC, led by Dr. Apple Milton Obote. In these elections, at least 1 million Ugandans are said to have voted to elect 82 members of the Legislative Council, literally known as DGCO. DP garnered 43 seats, UPC won 35 seats, and the Independents won 2 seats, while the Uganda National Congress got only 1 seat. Speaking to UPC's defeat, Obote said, and I quote, "The overall majority of the seats obtained by our opponents is due to mainly the boycott of the elections in Uganda and to the active participation of religious denominations."
Pay for your dream phone, Mpola.
Get your dream phone today for as low as 1,400 Uganda shillings with free data for a year and pay slowly. All phones come with daily 50 MBs for 12 months. Repayment period is 1 year. Available at MTN service centers and M-Kopa shops.
Government of Uganda, through the Uganda Bureau of Statistics (UBOS), is undertaking nationwide census mapping aimed at providing an up-to-date list of enumeration areas and administrative units in the country ahead of the National Population and Housing Census of 2023. The UBOS field teams will be using Global Positioning Systems (GPS) for mapping all administrative infrastructure, households and other facilities such as hotels, schools, hospitals and water sources to facilitate production of the updated LC1, parish, sub-county and district area maps showing all the physical features and social amenities. The census mapping will further aid development of a countrywide data for information systems as a pillar for effective implementation of the parish development model. This is to appeal to the entire government leadership, all stakeholders and the general public to support the field teams that will be deployed across the country. Announced by Dr. Chris Ndatira Muchiza, the Executive Director and Chief Statistician. For further clarifications, please contact the Office of the Executive Director on 0755 342 128.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees. Select option 2, school pay. Select option 1, pay fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Beat the back-to-school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Where does it come from? That thing that makes us Ugandan. That thing that makes us different from everybody else. Where does it grow infinitely? Some say it's in our history, in our culture, and in our hearts, in our warm smiles and vast miles of coffee, dairy farmland, and amazing maize fields. It's in our inherent pursuit to always be better, to never stop growing and glowing. So you see, we are more than just a waving flag. We are a nation of sweat and skills, a nation of ideas and inventions. But what truly makes us Ugandan is our quest to improve the quality of life for Ugandans by creating sustainable jobs, businesses, and improving household incomes. That's what makes us Uganda Development Bank. Uganda Development Bank, inspiring development.
When COVID came, it felt like it destroyed everything my mom had built. She was ready to let go of her dreams. But when one door shuts, a window opens. She grabbed her last kamani and took a leap of faith. She refused to give up. So with a bit of daring and Grandma's secret recipe, her business was back. And not just bigger, beyond her wildest imagination.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back from that break. Now to some more news. The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mrs. Janet Museveni, has met a 6-man delegation from the Coalition of Women in Africa for Peace and Development at State House, Nakasero. The Coalition of Women in Africa for Peace and Development is a project put together with an aim to harness the enormous capacity and goodwill of women in Africa by bringing them under a coalition towards achieving 4 thematic areas of peace in Africa: girl-child education, ending hunger, and ending poverty in Africa. The co-op delegation included Mr. Baleme Kalada Meshek, a Nigerian and founder of co-op, Miss Judy Oricho from Kenya, who is a gender-based violence activist, and Miss Lorraine Kaizai, a Liberian and an advocate for the girl child. Others were Miss Jocelyn Wandaki from Kenya, who is a gender-based and mental health champion, Mr. Collins Ogochukwu from Nigeria, and Miss Chirabo Josephine, a Ugandan, who are both advocates for the girl child. The delegation met the First Lady to discuss with her the possibility of Uganda hosting the 4th edition of the annual African Women's Summit and Honor next year, 2023.
Of Africa being so poor and our people being born in poverty and dying in poverty, when we are so blessed, it's like a betrayal to God Himself. It's good to see young people taking up a cause like this, to work for it and be serious about it. That's how we can change our continent. We are blessed with so much that if it is put into use for our populations, Africa can truly change.
That co-op, it's a coalition of women, and these women are already doing things in their sphere around these core areas. So the idea of co-op is to bring them together and to sharpen their response in what they are doing, and also get both government and other supports like we are going to be getting from the African Development Bank. Then us ourselves as co-op, what we do is that as regards girls' child education, we ensure we raise funds ourselves to fund girls back to school, to pay their school fees. So we go out of our way to generate resources that we use to pay school fees for young girls. And we've seen a lot of them so excited, their parents so excited that we've given their kids an opportunity, especially for the kids that are actually in the graduating classes but can't pay that final school fees just to finish the last process. Also, Your Excellency, we believe tech is the future. Tech is the future. And that's why we started Girls in Tech. We want to begin to teach, or we have started teaching girls across Africa tech skills. That's where the world is going to. And for every summit or for every country we go to, we ensure we pick girls from that locality and teach them tech skills that will make them financially stable and viable in the future, so they become a help both to themselves, to the family, to the society.
Strengthening laws against social media misuse to avoid putting the country on tension over unsubstantiated issues. This follows recent and ongoing media propaganda associating Speaker Jacob Oulanyah's death with poison. Minister for Information, Communications and Technology and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Badiomonsi, advises the public to wait for the post-mortem report.
The social media has been awash with many questions. The concerns rotate around what could have claimed the life of the Speaker of the 11th Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah. Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Badiomonsi, has cleared the air.
Being referred from one level to another is okay. So you should not complain why somebody has been referred. So he has been battling with cancer.
Dr. Chris Badiomonsi rules out a possibility of poison claims by some sections of social media users.
That's why the other day I told the media that with my medical knowledge and background, I can confirm to the public that there is no issue of poisoning in the case of Jacob Oulanyah. What he has died of are natural causes, which we shall explain when the medical report is put, and we shall explain to the mourners.
To this effect, Prime Minister Robin Banja wants Omoro Cancer Institute, named after Jacob Oulanyah.
if there is a way of recognizing his contribution. Those people may think it was by chance. You know, sometimes people don't understand. They see things coming up, the structure coming up, and they think it is God or it is what. So, can we see and look for a way of recognizing Jacob Oulanyah to have that Cancer Institute either changed in his names or a way of recognizing him for that contribution?
For now, there is need to regulate social media usage in Uganda. Democratic Party President General Norbert Mao and Dr. Chris Baryomunsi are both emphatic on this.
And you find when a serious person is talking, very few people are listening. But when those rumor mongers are talking, Facebook is full. Now, the mind, dear mourners, is like a garden. You can either put there good crops or you can leave it for weeds.
We continue to acquire technology under UCC so that if you originate a message that offends, that is offensive, we can trace back to know the originator. Even if it has been forwarded by many people, we now have capacity that you just write a message, send it, we can trace it. All that many people have been tracing, we find them outside Uganda.
Jacob Oulanyah died at Seattle in the United States of America on Sunday, 20th March 2022. Henry Okrut, UBC.
The Omoro district leaders have urged government to take over the uncompleted projects by the fallen Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah. According to Omoro Local Council 5 chairperson Douglas Peter Okello, completing the projects, mainly development, will make the legacy of Oulanyah to remain alive. From Omoro district, Philip Aguta reports.
This building, located in the middle of Lalogi Trading Center, is supposed to house a radio station and belongs to the fallen Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah. The building is complete pending installation of radio equipment. The transmitters have already been installed. Omoro district leaders and the local organizing committee for the burial of the dead Speaker of Parliament wants government to take over completion of Omoro FM.
He had even gone as far as procuring the necessary equipments for the establishment of Omoro FM here in Omoro district. But death did not allow him to accomplish that vision. What is remaining, and I want to make a special appeal to Uganda Communication Commission, that Uganda Communication Commission, please, give us, the people of Omoro district, a frequency so that the vision of the late Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, remains.
The chairman Omoro district local government, who is also the local chairperson organizing committee for the burial of the dead speaker, have also revealed that Oulanyah was paying school fees for over 180 vulnerable children.
At the time he passed on, he had taken care of holding hands of over 180 students, paying them in secondary schools, institutions, and universities. What is the future of these children? Because in these children, we see Jacob Oulanyah. What is the future? We want to appeal through either State House scholarship and other scholarships in this country that let the hands of these children, we hold the hands of these children.
Another project that has been undertaken by the fallen Speaker of Parliament is a revolving fund initiative codenamed the Dano Padano.
The Dano Padano Foundation provides soft loans for groups at an interest of 5% in a revolving manner. This Dano Padano Foundation must be maintained. And as the local organizing committee and a leader in Omoro district, want to appeal to the President, Parliament, and the Microfinance Support Center. How can we work together?
Philip Aguta, UBC News in Omoro.
Thank you, Philip Aguta. UBC News Tonight takes a very short break. We'll be back with more stories.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay, FlexiPay, or Bridge Schools. To pay school fees using FlexiPay, dial *185#. Select option 6 School Fees. Select option 3 FlexiPay. Enter the school code. Enter the student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Total Energies has undertaken a number of initiatives aimed at ensuring that Ugandan entities and citizens are adequately equipped to participate in the oil and gas sector.
In 2012, we started working with the Total E&P until 2019, where we worked on the replacement houses, and we delivered 30 houses for the people who were being relocated from the industrial area. We are also working with the Total Energies on over 10 kilometers of roads that we are undertaking. There's a ripple effect. We are getting the services of labor within the communities, materials. Total Energies has been of great assistance to our development. We've expanded our plant and equipment, we've developed our human resources, and we've also improved our management skills.
Total Energies EP Uganda is committed to the empowerment of Ugandans to take an active part in the overall development of the oil project in Uganda.
Need to send money to a loved one but you don't have enough on your phone? Have you run out of fuel but you don't have enough money? Do you want to pay for yaka or water but have insufficient funds? Or do you want to shop but you don't have enough money? Don't worry, get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, will grace the official launch of compensation payments of the confirmed livestock claimants stemming from the insurgencies that ravaged and adversely impacted the northern and eastern parts of the country, especially in Acholi, Lango, and Teso sub-regions, starting with the 1979 Liberation War. The Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, together with the affected local government authorities, established a verification committee to evaluate, ascertain, and confirm the genuineness of the livestock claims to be compensated by the government. The launch of the payments exercise will take place on Saturday, 26th March 2022 at Soroti University Grounds, Soroti City, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is a confirmation of the NRM government's commitment and concern towards restoring and improving the economic welfare of the war-affected communities in these sub-regions.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back from that break, and now into some business news this evening. A Korean program on international agriculture has embarked on 185 million shillings to skill model rice farmers on the new varieties to boost rice production in eastern Uganda. The exercise targets increasing PR107 production in the country to enable farmers to fetch good prices on the world market due to its aromatic value.
A number of model rice farmers in Doko Rice Scheme, Eastern Uganda, have been trained on the new varieties of rice from South Korea codenamed PR107.
Most of the Ugandan rice farmers transplanting with randomly, Ugandan style. That rice transplanting system is not good to increase their yield, rice yield.
Today we have learned the trick of how you can plant so that your rice is in good rows, both horizontally and vertically.
PR107 variety is described as a competitive variety on the international market due to its aromatic value.
Recently we had the calls from all over Uganda who were interested in this variety. But the demand is still very low. That's why we have recruited other farmers also to start growing this PR107 from our Korean friends.
Farmers are now expecting to earn more by increasing their production from 1,500 to 5,000 tons milled rice per hectare.
What we have been eyeing as farmers, because since then we have been growing other local varieties which are low yielding. But this PR107, as you have seen, if you can do it the Korean way, we can be able even to get over 5 tons per hectare.
The farmers need skill on post-harvest handling of PR107 to avoid losses during the milling process.
Maybe in the future, Uganda rice farmers, this area Uganda farmers change Korean advanced changed. I support in the future many things. For example, weeds, pesticide, fertilizer, and all machinery I support in the future.
However, lack of financial education among the rice farmers remained a problem.
People are getting a lot of money, but because they had no guidance, financial management, they don't know what money is, and what money should be for. People started doing funny things, but to them it was not funny. To some of us it was funny. What was fun about it? They were buying what they thought was right. The first thing they started buying were wives. And wives also knew that there was money, and where there's money, a wife will come.
Farmers received gumboots and fertilizers to enhance rice production in eastern Uganda. Sudat Kaye, Okow Joseph, UBC News.
Well, UBC News Tonight has come to an end, but do join us at 10 o'clock for our second edition with more stories. I'm Lorene Masika Kazimoto. Do join us at 10 with Elizabeth Nakakoni on sign language interpretation. We'll see you then.